Welcome back to Market to Market. What is customer loyalty? Is there a secret to achieving customer loyalty in your business? Eddy Devisse, Managing Director of Resonance Limited, discusses customer loyalty and solutions for increasing customer loyalty on this week's Marketplace 101. What is a loyalty program?
A loyalty program is a service that allows businesses to increase their sales by increasing the traffic in their store from their customers, increasing the amount of expenditure the customers do every time they purchase items. Also allows merchants to increase their user base.
How do loyalty programs work?
The loyalty program works typically with the use of a card, first of all, that allows the merchants to record transaction of the customers. Also, on the better quality with loyalty programs, you would find that a mobile phone element is involved as well. So basically, the customer would be registered to the service, and every time they shop at the location, they would then the merchant would then capture the information of their transaction, and the more the customer shops, the more they acquire points or value. Then they can redeem those points against discounts, rewards, or specific items. What's actually more interesting is when you're following that transaction is you are then able to communicate with the customer and invite them for special events or special promotions, maybe send them a reward for their birthday. That's where the mobile element becomes very useful.
So there's also a customer relationship management kind of element to
there can be
programs.
There can be, yes. There are services that are very simple, that don't require a merchant to do too much work like that, because it allows the merchant to set automatic rules. So, for example, a week before your birthday, you get a message that says, "Happy birthday! Come shop in my store," and you get a 20% discount. You don't have to do any work to get that. As a merchant, you don't have to do any work to get that set up.
What are the other benefits of loyalty programs?
Well, in a nutshell, the benefits of a loyalty program is that first, you are able to understand your customer better. You're able to provide them incentives that work for them. And these incentives are based on, are driven by the need that you have to have the customer do something they don't necessarily do. So, for example, you find that on Monday afternoon you have a dip in your sales or you have a dip in your traffic. You want to invite your customer to visit your store. You provide them an incentive to do that, and you will see an increase in traffic. Other benefit is obviously that you are able to send direct marketing, direct messages to your customer base.
From what you're saying, I'm also saying you have an opportunity to get some market research done, because you're able to tell that Monday afternoon you have a dip in sales.
Correct. For the businesses who are interested in collecting that information, obviously it is very useful. It allows them to understand better the patterns of traffic and purchasing, whether they have one location, actually physical location, or multiple number of locations. So a service like this allows them to understand better their customer base.
What kinds of businesses best benefit from implementing loyalty programs?
Yeah, actually, all businesses can benefit from a loyalty program as long as it's really designed for their needs. But what we see in the market is there's a lot of success in businesses such as pharmacies, supermarkets, but retail in general. We find in retail merchants getting a great return on investment and great success.
What is the best approach to a loyalty program?
Well, what's important is, first of all, that the merchant or the business understands or has defined really what their objective is. Are they trying to increase their sales or increase the volume in the store, or increase the average ticket price? Are they trying to increase their user base? Are they trying to get more understanding of their user base? So what's important is to define that, and of course a proper service provider would help them define that objective. That is the initial goal of the merchant. Once you decide that, the next step is to determine what do you want to do to achieve those objectives, or what are you willing to do. So for example, are you willing to reward your customers, and if so, how? Again, these are questions that sound a little bit complicated, but these are things that a proper provider would help you define. And once that's decided, then establishing the system, launching it is very easy.
So you've established your objectives. What other factors you must consider as a business before implementing a loyalty program?
Mm-hmm. It's very important to look at pricing, look at support and service, look at training matters, try to understand the dynamic that exists on the floor in the case of a brick and mortar store or retail. Those are questions that you would want to evaluate with the support of your service provider.
From your experience, what has been some of the drawbacks of loyalty programs?
Good question. Again, if you have the right solution and the right service, you won't find those drawbacks if you cover yourself properly. So, for example, with the proper service, you won't have issues like security or security of your system. You won't have issues of knowledge. Your staff, for example, may not understand. If you have the right provider, you'll be able to overcome these issues. What's important again is that you need to have a service that is very easy to use, whether it is for you, your staff, or the customer. Service has to be very simple, very understandable, and very valuable. If you have that established, then you're guaranteed to get the best return on investment. And if you have the best return on investment, then you're not worried about the cost of the service. You're more concerned about the result. The issue of training is a very important one. So really the program is going to be successful if your staff takes it on, if yourself you're taking it on as a business owner, if your staff take it on, they need to feel ownership of the service. Once that's established, then you're guaranteed to have some traction with the customer, good traction. That is the risk. The biggest risk that we found is the internal buy-in. It has to be from top down, and your staff needs to be supported to deploy a service like this.
Tell us about Resonance Customer Reward Solutions.
Sure. Actually, the brand name of the service is called LinkUp Rewards. This is a Resonance product that was launched roughly 2 years ago. We've successfully launched it in more than 60 unique different locations. That means 60 individual businesses. And in a nutshell, we discuss with a merchant who calls us and interested in deploying such a service. We discuss with them exactly what the objectives are, and again, as I mentioned earlier, what are the rewards that they're willing to give their customers to adjust their behavior or change their behavior to suit the objectives of the company. We then work with them on designing the program, designing the actual artwork and the card, and providing them the tool that will allow them to register the customers and start running the program. Roughly, it's running on either of two options. It runs on a terminal that we'll look at later. A terminal is a standalone device that just stays in the store. It requires no IT systems. It requires no information, no such technical setup. Or it also runs on a website. So, for example, if the merchant already has a PC, we can provide them with a unique website to capture that information. So that is set up within a few weeks. Then from that point on, the merchant then distributes the cards and register the customers one by capturing some basic information. And then after that, the program basically runs on itself with a lot of support. But basically the customer comes, provides their card at moment of purchase and accumulates points. And then there are redemptions and benefits to the customers.
How long is that process? How long does it take to roll out the program?
To roll out a program is quite quick, really. Once we have the first two big steps passed, which is defining the objectives and the rewards to the customers, which could take a week or maybe 10 days. Following that, we could deploy a whole system throughout a business within a couple of weeks, if necessary. It depends on the number of locations that you may have, but nonetheless, we have a large team here, and we can deploy a pretty sophisticated systems within only a few weeks.
The cost of loyalty programs to the retailer, is it a standard cost or is it variable?
Well, in our case, the way we charge the business is dependent on the complexity and the size of the program, obviously. But basically, we charge for a service fee every month in order to provide the support to the merchant. That is dependent on the number of locations, dependent on the traffic, dependent on the user. Really, it's very affordable compared to any other marketing tools that the merchant may have. It's very affordable.
So it's customizable to their needs.
Absolutely. What's important for us and for the merchant, obviously, is return on investment that works for them. And we found that the more time we spend in designing the product and working with the merchant to define that objective, is the more time spent there is the more positive results at the end.
Well, let's take a look at how Link Up Rewards work.
So once the customer is registered, immediately they can start shopping and accumulate points at the particular business that is using the service. And that's simply at moment of purchase amount, and the receipt number that's tied to the POS, at the location, add the amount, swipe the card, and that's it. Once all of this is done, the merchant has access to all the information about the customer's purchase patterns, the volume and the frequencies in reports such as this. There's a lot of reports provided to the merchant that are useful for him to determine better what is his pattern of purchase.
It varies from month to month. Sometimes a vendor may try their hand at one thing and maybe open to something else. For example, this month we had crepes, where a vendor ventured into a crepe stuffed with hummus, spinach and tamarind sauce, all local ingredients.